So everybody wants to know who's buying a home, how much do I need as a down payment?
Right.
How much do I need? People think 20%. Do I need more? It's the most searched on Google today is how much do I need for a down payment? So what better than to talk to Sean about what you need for a down payment? So that's what we're talking about.
It's one of my favorite topics because I'm a fan of getting into a house with as little out of pocket, little down payment as possible. And the reason for that is I think a mortgage is phenomenal leverage that enables your money to multitask. So a client example, a guy was going to pay $3 million cash for a house. His financial advisor told him to call me. And he said, what do you think I should do? I've never bought a house before.
And $3 million and you never bought a house?
Tech kid did pretty well. And I said, well, let's look at it this way. This is a couple years ago. I go, let's say that you buy a house for $3 million in cash. The property value goes up 10% in a year. You got a 10% return on your initial investment, right? Put down $3 million. That's the initial investment. Property's now worth 3.3. You made $300,000 on that. But if you put 20% down, $600,000, and the property goes up to 3.3, you made a 50% return on your initial investment, and you have 2.4 million working in the stock market, crypto, wherever else you want it to be. Yeah. So your money's working twice for you because you get the appreciation regardless. Yeah. So I like the idea of as little as possible, but listing agents aren't always excited about low down payment offers. And why is that?
Well, I mean, we always like to see, you think there's less risks involved the more a buyer is putting down on a home sale. Right. The thing that's funny is, I think it's just because I've been doing it longer. Like you and I were talking about a situation before we came on that you have going on where if the buyer is solid and they're doing whichever loan, conventional, FHA, whatever, and whatever down payment they're doing, if you know that it's going to close on the same day, the seller's getting the same amount of money, whether it's VA, FHA, or all cash.
Right.
They're going to get the same amount of money and potentially the same amount of time.
Right.
So I feel okay with it, but it does always seem that, you know, the more you put down as a listing agent, you see, oh, hey, they're putting 50% down. Okay, that's great. I don't have to worry about maybe appraisal. I don't have to worry about loan. I don't have to worry about these things. So I feel like there's like a couple speed bumps and contingencies that you don't have to deal with. Yeah, exactly, deal with.
And that's where there's a little bit of a misconception because lending, common sense went out the window in the lending world in 2008. So the government swung so far in the other direction to protect us from being, you know, back then things got way too loose. They made, even currently, it's way too tight. So if you have $1 million home and you're putting 50% down, you have a $500,000 loan, and you also have $500,000 in equity, the perception from a common sense approach is, well, that's a no-brainer loan to make because we're not gonna have to foreclose on that. They're not gonna walk away from $500,000 in equity. Right. But lending doesn't work like that anymore. You could buy that same house, put $900,000 down, be applying for a $100,000 mortgage, and if your debt-to-income ratio is too high because your income calculation's wrong, your $100,000 mortgage can fall apart as much as if you were putting 3% down. So there's a misconception that more down equals less risk. That used to be true when common sense was in the industry, and I would call it, we were doing risk-based lending, right? And now it's, do you meet these requirements? And if you don't, you're out, regardless of down payment. So as a lender, we've lost, our buyers have lost because, hey, you offered a little bit more, but these guys had more money down, so the seller went with that offer. And I'm like, oh, the seller could have made more money.
That happens a lot.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this, is there's a misconception of confidence, right? More money down equals more strength, and that's not necessarily true.
See, that's why I hang out with this guy. I mean, Sean, you know your stuff. That's awesome. And he put a little bit of a surprise for me to do this, but I'm great to hear that. So please reach out. If you guys have any questions about this stuff, I mean, you know, call me, call Sean, but Sean really knows his stuff. And if you are thinking about buying, by all means, reach out to us so you guys can understand your situation and whether you have a ton of money to put down or, because I know you helped me last year or two with some clients that were going to pay all cash and they end up going with you and doing the loan and happy as clams, you know? So
that's the
reach
dream.
out to us anytime. Jason Caskie, Coldwell Banker, Sean Herrero, Cross Country Mortgage. We appreciate you guys watching and we'll see you soon.
Talk to you soon.